We never get enough time with Monica Paige, Turning Point's White House correspondent, but we're going to try and squeeze everything in with her right now. Monica, how you doing?
We're doing great, Jobob. It's another busy day at the White House. We always sound like a broken record when we talk about these things, but
I was
it's a
going to say
beautiful day. Lots going on.
it sounds redundant. It's like at the White House assumes busy day. So the president had a big panel talking about some important things. You want to fill us in on that?
Yeah, huge roundtable, the second roundtable that he's hosting this month. Earlier this month, we saw independent journalists gathering around with the president, some of his officials, talking about how these people were victims of Antifa. But this time, today, we heard from local law enforcement, we heard from administration officials talking about how they are combating the drug cartels and trying to eliminate the threats that they pose to the United States, not only drugs, but also human smuggling as well. And as it stands right now, the president on his first day in office, actually, January 20th, he established this Homeland Security Task Force where he, got a bunch of people together, a lot of his administration officials, and said, hey, listen, we're going to go after these drug cartels, killing these Americans that we've seen over the last 4 years. And since this task force was created, we've seen 2 million fentanyl pills off our streets, about 1,000 weapons off of our streets in our U.S. communities. We've seen 70 tons of other narcotics be seized as well. And we've seen a number of drug boats in the Caribbean Sea off the coast of Venezuela be targeted and bombed essentially. So we're seemingly heading in the right direction as far as combating this threat posed to the United States. So we're hearing from the president what his next steps are going to be, maybe what other things that the task force is going to be focused on. But it's refreshing to hear from these administration officials because, over the last 4 years, what were we doing to keep our country safe? The president
Mm-hmm.
made this a foreign terror organization, and he's treating it as such to keep us all safe.
Well, no, to your point, that's like a fantastic point. What were we doing prior to this? I think in like 2022, and I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but it was the highest amount of opioid deaths across the country, and like nothing happened about it. And it's good that we finally have somebody who's like, hey, Americans dying is a serious problem. Maybe we should take this seriously. So that's seemed to be good news coming out of the White House. As per usual. I hate to take you down the silly rabbit hole, Monica. I am honestly shocked that we are still even talking about this. I assumed that we had made fun of and mocked the libs so hard for their internal panic about this the last couple days that it would be over with as a story. But of course, the White House is flattened, as you know. You've been there. It's no longer
Yep.
there. It's been completely
Nope.
and entirely decimated. So you'd mentioned the press briefing this morning was talking almost exclusively about renovations, which again, maybe it is that libs just aren't handy people and therefore like don't know that when you renovate something, like if you get a new backsplash in on your kitchen, you're going to do some damage before you actually make it nicer. Like I wonder, since they've never done those like blue collar jobs, they just don't understand it. Like what is going on that front in your world?
Well, it's funny because the press secretary posted it on her page just last night that this is Trump ballroom derangement syndrome. For some reason, these people like just can't fathom the fact that we're making the White House beautiful again. I mean,
Mm,
it's interesting because I saw a resurfaced clip back in 2010 where former President Obama made 370 million dollars in renovations on the taxpayer's dime. This is about what, 250 million dollars solely coming out of the president's pocket and the donor's pocket. The people
mm.
actually want to fund something beautiful here at the White House, and it's wild to see the left comparing the beautiful pictures and images that we have seen, some of the mock-ups that we've seen, to that of Nazi Hitler in
I
Germany.
know.
Wild. They,
It
they, they cannot stand to see beautiful things, unfortunately.
it blows my mind. And this is a picture from Glenn, if we have that graphic from Midas Touch that says, well, ballroom at the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia, White House rendering of the new Trump ballroom, effectively saying, well, Vladimir Putin has a ballroom, therefore Trump and Vladimir Putin are best friends, which if they've been following the news the last couple of days, that's clearly not true. But I guess I don't quite understand what Monica. We are getting dangerously close to. Well, Adolf Hitler breathed oxygen. Trump breathes oxygen, just like Hitler. How far away are we from that?
We're right there, unfortunately, and I hate to
Jeez.
say that because it really does feel like it. I mean, you go on social media and everything, I feel like the rhetoric has just been turned all the way up.
Mm.
It's terrifying. And to your point about how beautiful the ballroom is going to be, the president does everything with intention. If you take a look at how the president renovated the Oval Office and adding all these gold accents, I was actually looking at an interview wrote most recently on social media, and it came out that the president sees when he goes to other countries how
Mm.
beautiful the foreign leaders are living. They're living in opulence. They have all these beautiful ornate rooms and decorations. The president's like,
Mm.
that symbolizes power. We want to look powerful as well. So he does everything so intentionally. When foreign leaders come in, they want to say, wow, this is gorgeous. This is a symbol of stature. Like this president is as an actual leader. And that's what the gold all means. And these people just don't understand that because if you take a look at the last Oval Office that we just had, whoa, night and day difference, honestly. I mean, I'll let the viewers look at the before and afters for themselves, but it was a major difference. So the president wants to upgrade this White House, clearly as it's still standing, wants to make it beautiful. And unfortunately, the left just cannot stand it.
Yeah, I think the last Oval Office had a hospital bed on in the corner. I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but I that's what I heard. I think, but also that's a great point because too. I mean, especially in a lot of like Middle Eastern countries, that's a real kind of thing. If they
Yeah.
look at where the leader of the country lives, and it's kind of it's not the greatest thing in the world. That actually has implications in how they deal with us as far as foreign policy goes, and maybe part of the reason that President Trump has been able to do so much in the Middle East is because he understands how a lot of the world leaders work and is able to communicate with them in a way that hasn't been done in the recent memory of the President of the United States. Maybe this is a good point, Monica. You bring up a valid point. Monica Paige, Turning Point's White House correspondent. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, Joe Bob.
Thank you.